Hi, good morning, folks. My name is Curtis Mankey. I'm the college and career counselor here at McHenry High School. Whether you're watching live with us or you're watching the recorded version of this on YouTube, we are glad that you are viewing and participating in this. Again, with senior supports and next steps. So again, senior year for many parents who we, as the counseling team, work with senior year. It's your first time through this as a parent as well. So whether it's your first time or your seventh time or anywhere in between or beyond, we're here to help and support you as well as your student in this journey. Along the way, I'll allow the other team members to introduce themselves. Nicole, you want to go first?
Hi, I'm Nicole Bacigalupo, Senior Counselor. I have students with the last names A through LE.
Hi, I'm Sarah Sadler. I'm the other senior counselor, and my caseload is seniors with last names LF through Z.
I'm Kristen Mueller with McHenry County College. I'll be popping in for a few minutes today.
Excellent. All right, so I'm going to peel my colleagues off here as I've got the beginning part, allow them to just relax a little bit here, backstage, so to speak. So again, we're so glad that you're with us. For those of you watching live, and there's a couple right now that I can tell, since we're watching in YouTube, they have that comment section right below the viewing panel that you're watching us in. You can actually add questions into that comment box or submit questions you have, and we can answer them in real time for you. We will also give some time at the end for any questions from our live viewers as well. But again, live viewers, feel free to drop questions into the comment box right there at YouTube. We can see those and respond to those for you. All right, on with the show. Here is the entire class of 2024 team. We have Patrice Frederick, who is the assistant principal of student services. We already met Ms. Bacigalupo, Ms. Sadler, and myself. Our 2024 students are also supported by Gabby Johnson, the 2024 social worker, Maura Reed, our prevention and wellness coordinator, Tina Breitenbach, our school psychologist, as well as Jordan Diener, the appropriately named Jordan Diener, the dean of the class of 2024. Just a couple other quick notes before we really dive into the post-secondary next step content. Just a little bit about where everyone is located at the upper campus. Again, the counselors appropriately are in the College and Career Center, which is on the second floor by the library, if that's a landmark for you. The social workers are in the main office on the north end of the building. The psychologists are near the main office, just kind of across the hallway in a room we call the chill zone. And the deans are also in the main office area, just in a different hallway from the social workers. Here are the faces with the names with some of the other team members that will be supporting the teams and supporting your students along their journey. The class of 2024 has an amazing team working with them. You really are fortunate and lucky to have the team that you have. Just a little bit of information from our other team members. Our social workers and psychologists are here to provide individual and group supports. They also serve great roles in supporting the team with data collection, making sure that we are helping students both individually as well as a collective, the appropriate ways and really hitting the needs that they have. They are also there to help both students and parents access community-based resources and other supports beyond our walls that may come up, because life does happen from time to time, and I hope you feel reassured that you have professionals here in our building working with you and your students that you can go to at the drop of a hat. The chill zone, again, which is where our psychologists are located, and they're just right across the hall from both the deans and the social workers. Again, life happens sometimes, and our students sometimes just need a couple moments to just sort of check out, peel back from the day-to-day goings on here at McHenry High School. So students come in for about 10 minutes or so. If they do need more than that 10 minutes, then we will make sure that they're connected with a team member to help support them with any of those in-the-moment needs that do pop up. Mr. Diener, who again is the senior dean for the class of 2024. We also have Mr. Wilboy, who is there to support with attendance and truancy issues. I'll just very briefly speak on their behalf. Safety and attendance are their main roles in that order. Our students, how can we expect our students to learn and perform if they don't feel safe within our walls, let alone be present within our walls? So Mr. Diener and Mr. Wilboys are the best of professionals, and again, are there to help and support our students and families on this journey. All right, getting into the next step spiels. This is a slide that I build in when we are working with seniors in classroom and even larger settings. It's okay to not know. As I've told many students in bigger presentations, I was 23 by the time I landed on school counseling. So who am I to tell a 17-year-old that they should know exactly what they're going to do with the rest of their life? Because as many adults, many parents and guardians we work with know that's not how life works. Career is a concept that for most people has twists and turns along the way. There are arcs, there are developments. We do want students to act on something during senior year. And that's the tricky part, is acting on something that you may not be 100% certain of. But again, our post-secondary goal for every student in this building is to continue their training or education in some way, shape, or form after high school ends. You've earned your high school diploma. What are you doing next? For those that like things simple like me, this little screen here captures the one word that really kind of summarizes how we work with your students on a year-to-year basis. Senior year is the year of action, again, despite that uncertainty. Very briefly, the little square here with the lime green around it just kind of captures for most students entering their senior year what graduation requirements remain, assuming things have gone well over the prior 3 years. Most seniors have a full English credit remaining, a full PE credit, a half a credit of United States government and civics, a half a credit of consumer education, and then there's usually at least a couple elective credits remaining. So again, as long as students are taking care of things along the way, that's usually what's left. If a student has not been successful in something at the 9th, 10th, or 11th grade year, Ms. Bacigalupo and Ms. Sadler are working with you and your students to make sure that any lingering graduation requirements are accounted for this senior year. Briefly, we're going to go into some of the main resources that we have to help support students and parents along this journey. Again, I keep stressing this is just as much of a journey for parents and guardians as it is for your students, and we want to make sure you are supported along the way. So again, the counseling team has a course in Schoology, that same program where students do the bulk of their digital work, also where you check your grades and check your students' grades. So when either as a parent or a student you log into Schoology and you press the courses button, there's a course that the counselors run called 2024 Post-Secondary Resources. It stands out because the icon is the same orange arrow that is behind me on your screens right now. First and foremost, the main resource that you and your students have are the people. Ms. Bacigalupo, Ms. Sadler, and myself are always there and available to help your student, whether it be for day-to-day things or some of those bigger scale actions. Students can actually schedule their own meetings with us. You'll notice there's a link that says click to schedule a meeting right below our names. Students can go into this course and actually schedule their own meetings with us. Ms. Bacigalupo and Ms. Sadler will be checking in with every senior over the course of this fall, making sure that all those graduation requirements are checked off, making sure that they're off to a decent start senior year, as well as talking about post-secondary plans and actions. So after the people, we have our 4 other main resources as well. I got a slide just taking a little further of a dive into each of these. The first one is a brand new program we have called SchooLinks. For those parents that may recall or may have used it yourself, we used to have a program called Naviance. Naviance, again, like SchooLinks, they're both programs that allow students to do things like career exploration, college searches for those that are considering 4-year college. For underclassmen, there's a 4-year course planning tool, so students can kind of map out what their upperclassmen years might look like. SchooLinks does all those things. It also has a couple other tools that are unique to it that really set it apart from Naviance or any other similar programs. And I will also say that it is much easier to navigate SchooLinks than it is Naviance or other similar programs. Your students already have active SchooLinks accounts, whether they know that or not. So in this post-secondary resources course in Schoology, all they have to do is click on the SchooLinks link and then use their school Google accounts to log in, and they're already in. Whether it's for the first time or the 10th time, they already have these active SchooLinks accounts. We are in the process of creating and will soon be pushing out parent accounts as well. Our next tool that'll help out both students and parents along this journey is our college and career guide. SchooLinks is great for helping identify options, but however, it is limited with some how-tos. It doesn't necessarily get into like how do I request a transcript? How do I take certain actions? So this college and career guide is an internally developed tool that can help students and parents with some of those how-tos. You can see the different categories that are on here, the different parts or chapters, if you want to think of it that way, that are within this tool. They're all hyperlinked. You click on it and it takes you to that section with more information about each of these topics. Additionally, another set of resources we have is that just like every year, we have college representatives, military recruiters, some career-specific people in industry that come through the College and Career Center to meet with students who might be interested in their institution or opportunities. We strongly encourage students to attend any ones that might be of interest. On the screen right now is simply a screenshot of this much, much larger file, just to kind of give an idea of what it looks like and some of the opportunities that are coming up. This is just some upcoming events that we have coming up here over the course of the next couple months at McHenry High School. These are a little more topic specific. I will also make note that on September 19th, Mrs. Reed, again, our prevention and wellness coordinator, is bringing in Jackie Rue, who is one of our best community partners for a great presentation on fostering resilient learners. So that one is a little more social, emotional, and personally based. The other ones on the screen, which are more post-secondary based. A couple other topics I'll hit here for any students who are considering participating in Division I or Division II college athletics. If you have the skill and the desire to do that, those competitive levels are governed by the NCAA. So you do have to make sure that while in high school, you are meeting the NCAA's specific requirements, which can be different from our high school graduations. Again, we want to make sure your students have all the opportunities that they want and need to have beyond these walls, and making sure that they are NCAA eligible if, again, they are considering Division I and II athletics is definitely something to talk at home about. Reach out if you want to need a hand. One of the actions that you will take, if not already, for those who are considering this, is to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center. Back in the College and Career Guide, there is a section here for prospective student athletes. And again, there's how-tos in there as well for you. Briefly stated, we're still working with a lot of seniors who are not sure about what's next, which again is completely fine. Captures what goes into career exploration and ultimately decisions. Identifying within yourself what is of interest to you, what you're good at, what's important to you, and just your personality, and kind of finding the sweet spot where those things intersect really helps people of all ages, honestly, kind of come to a conclusion on what career options might be out there for them, might be suitable for them. This image right here, I like to kind of joke that this is my my image-based resting face, because this image is really included in virtually every presentation I give, both with parents and students, to the point that it's almost like a running joke with students because they see it so frequently. When I said before that our goal is for every McHenry High School student to continue their training and education beyond McHenry High School, these are the four very broad categories in which they can do that. So again, I'll briefly describe each of these. We again, and my other partners in this presentation will jump in and fill in the rest. So I'm going to take military and workforce training to start off here. On any given year, about 4% of McHenry High School graduates, which is usually numerically about 25 to 30 students, enlist in the military or other military adjacent programs like ROTC or service academies. This process is probably, I don't know if simpler is the right way to put it, but there's fewer steps than some of the other options. We strongly encourage students to work with recruiters. Make sure you are including your family when considering a commitment like this. And then again, there's the ASVAB assessment that is part of that. We will be offering an ASVAB internally here at McHenry High School at October 27th. You can work with your recruiters to take those at a MEP station as well. However, if you don't want to jump through those hoops and you just want to keep things local, just watch for that as we get a little closer to October 27th. Workforce training on any given year, about 20 to 25% of our students do something that I define as workforce training. Again, my definition of workforce training are careers that don't need or require bachelor's degrees. So it may or may not involve college at the community college level, but certainly involves training beyond these walls. I know that I want the person who is changing the brakes in my car to have something more than a high school diploma. So again, we want to make sure that our students are aware of different certification options, whether it be at the community college level, at trade schools. There are many local labor unions that offer wonderful apprenticeship programming. There's some other options on the screen. The McHenry County Workforce Network is an incredibly underutilized local resource as well for those who are unsure about what's next. I'm actually in the process of trying to get a couple labor union apprenticeship providers in here to present with some of our students. I'll give a quick shout out to MCC. I know Kristen will come back to this a little bit later, but for students considering workforce training options, I can't stress this enough. Community colleges are trade schools. Yes, they also provide transfer programming, and that's kind of what they're more known for, but community colleges have a wealth of programs that can be anywhere from a couple of months to 2 years that offer certification or non-transfer Associate of Applied Science program. Just to give you an example, this is an intentionally overwhelming screen, just because I want folks to know how many things are available at the community college level. These are all 2-year programs people can do at MCC that don't involve transferring. So if a student does any one of these and they go full time, they can have one of these degrees done in 2 years. The majority of the classes in these programs are specific to that industry and that career area. And they can be working with a 2-year college degree, additional training in these areas by the time they're 20 with minimal, if any, debt. I think one more from me, I believe, before I pass things over to Ms. Bacigalupo in a moment. Again, MCC is our in-district community college, which explains that's why we talk about MCC so much. All of our students at McHenry High School live in MCC's district. Therefore, that is the most inexpensive community college option. The exception to that, though, is if MCC does not have a certain program. So all of the different programs on the screen here are ones that MCC does not have. So for instance, if a student wants to be a dental hygienist, MCC does not have that program, but Harper does, College Lake County does. And so we work with our students to jump through a very small hoop called a joint agreement that allows our students to access those programs at these other community colleges. But the most important part is that our students still pay the same rate as if they're attending MCC. I don't want any students to pay anything more than they have to for their next training and educational steps. All right, I'm going to pull Ms. Bacigalupo on screen here. She's going to talk a little bit about four-year colleges, the search, the application process. Ms. Bacigalupo, take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Mankey, and thank you everyone who's joining us virtually today. So I'm going to start by talking about some college fit factors. Hopefully, if your senior is looking at four-year schools, they've thought about some of these things, but some examples are whether they're looking at a private school, a public school, a school in Illinois or the Midwest, or a school farther away, all kinds of different factors that fit into what is the best college for them. The easiest way to determine this is to go on some college visits. Go visit a variety of different schools. Go to a big public university, a small private liberal arts school. Go check out a urban campus like Loyola or DePaul and kind of get an idea of what feels like home for your student. A really great tool that we have is SchooLinks, like Mr. Mankey just talked about. On SchooLinks, students can actually filter schools based on different criteria of their choosing, including location, major, a sport that they want to play. That's a great way to filter down all of our colleges and universities. There are over 2,000, and that can be really overwhelming to search from. That can just make that process a lot more manageable. So when to apply? Actually, application season is right around the corner. We already have some students applying to college, a couple students who already know where they're going. But September through November is when most applications are completed. It does depend on the deadline for that particular school. So for example, if your student is applying early action, which we always recommend, that means you apply sooner, you get your results sooner. That's around November 1st to December 15th. There are regular deadlines that are between January and even through summer. And then make sure if your student is applying for a specific program that they know the deadline for that program if that applies to them. There are different types of application. Every school has their institution-specific application. For example, if you go on U of I's undergraduate admissions website, they have their own application. Every school has one. There's also something called Common App, which I'll talk about in just a sec. So Common App is an application that many schools pay to use. And the nice thing is that about half of the colleges and universities use Common App. It's an application students fill out once. It is pretty long and detailed and exhaustive, but the nice thing is you can send it to multiple schools. So it's good to be strategic when you're applying to colleges and take a look. If all 6 of the schools your student is applying to take the Common App, then it's a no-brainer. Fill out the Common App. You do it one time, you're done. If your student's applying to 4 schools, only 1 takes Common App, it's not worth filling it out. Go ahead and use that school-specific application. Something really neat about SchooLinks is that it can sync with Common App. So once your student creates their Common App account, they can log into SchooLinks, and there's a button they click to sync them. So Common App is where students put in their personal information, academic history, involvement. SchooLinks is what they use to submit materials like transcript, letter of rec, things like that. So make sure that they sync that once they get those accounts set up. And that just makes it a really seamless process. How to apply and how to pay for it. So just like a lot of things with college, even the application process can be a little bit expensive. Applications range from being $15 to $100. If you haven't had a conversation with your student about how much you can budget for applications, it might be good to do so. Maybe they think they're applying to 20 colleges, but your budget might say otherwise. If your family qualifies for free or reduced lunch or has faced a financial hardship this year, please let your student know to come talk to us. We do have a fee waiver so they can apply to schools for free. We want to make sure all of our students who qualify for that receive that fee waiver. It just takes one more barrier down between them and their path to a 4-year degree. SchooLinks, again, is what students will be using to request transcripts. Some schools will not take transcripts in an email from us or administrative assistant. They'll only take it through SchooLinks, a third party. So make sure your student goes in there and puts all of their schools they're applying to in the application section of SchooLinks. This isn't really news. A lot of people know this, but since COVID, a lot of schools have been and will continue to be test optional. We are seeing schools go back on that. For example, large public universities in the South. A more regional example is Purdue. They are requiring test scores. If you're not sure whether to submit your student's test score, I always recommend families look at the data to see what the average SAT score was for students in the previous class who are admitted to that school or university. If your student falls within the average or above in that range, I would recommend sending your test score. If your student falls a little bit behind on the bell curve, that's not really going to help you be a more competitive applicant. That's a situation where you might not want to send your test scores. So let us know if you have any questions about that. It's not always black and white. We can help tease that out. The dreaded college essay. So this is kind of a point of pain and stress and anxiety for our students, especially the ones who are already applying to colleges, because a lot of kids tend to overthink the prompts for these essays. They think they have to list every single club or involvement they've had at school, or they have to also talk about some big traumatic event that happened in their life to set them apart from all the other applicants. This isn't exactly true. The best essays are the ones students write that are very authentic, genuine to them, meaningful. I had a student who's at a really selective school who wrote about his lucky pencil and how much he and his family love watching FIFA together. And they were really great essays, but they weren't really overthought. They were just something he was passionate about. We always recommend students write their essays in a Google Doc. Don't write it in the school's application. Don't type directly in that little prompt box because that doesn't always save. And that's a bummer when a student has spent an hour writing and they go back and it's not there. Then they can share that Google Doc with an English teacher, definitely, and then either Miss Sadler, Mr. Mankey, or myself, just to get some more sets of eyes on that essay so we can kind of give them some tweaks to make, just to make it the best essay it can possibly be. Some schools require or recommend letters of recommendation. Some do not. The nice thing about SchooLinks is once your student says that they're applying to a school and they add it to the application section, it'll tell them all of the materials they need right there. If they need a letter of recommendation, there's a drop-down box. Your student will select a teacher. We always encourage they select a teacher who teaches a class related to their major they're going to go in, and preferably a teacher from junior or senior year, especially because our students were mostly remote during their freshman year, so that letter might not be to the best quality. Teachers are usually preferred over coaches or employers. If a school recommends or requires more than one letter, students can ask someone else. A teacher would just be the best one to speak to their academic abilities and their character. And we always encourage students email or have a face-to-face conversation with the person you want to write your letter before selecting them, and they get an automated email to write a letter. That way a student can submit their resume, they can list the activities they're involved in, that teacher's aware they're going to have to write a letter. It's just a nice courtesy for them. We have some programs in Illinois for families who make around $75,000 or less for their income. These programs, their tuition is either free or significantly reduced, so definitely check those out if you fall underneath that range. In addition, when you apply for FAFSA in December, which we'll talk about ad nauseum this year, so don't panic if you've never heard of that term before, there's something called the MAP grant, where if your family demonstrates large financial need, you're eligible for a grant, which you don't have to pay back, that's up to $7,000 that can only be applied to Illinois schools. So because of all these great programs in the MAP grant, we really enjoy when students have an Illinois school on their list of schools they're applying to, just because that can financially be a better option for them, since some out-of-state schools might not qualify with those kinds of programs or the MAP grant. Now I'm going to cue Ms. Sadler. It's her turn to talk about disability services.
Hi, I'm Miss Sadler. So disability services. So several of our students have a 504 plan or an IEP, which is an individual education plan. Both of those plans fall under the special education umbrella. But when a student graduates from high school, a lot of times they ask, well, what happens to my accommodations? So most public schools that receive federal funding are legally obligated to provide disability services. So in essence, most colleges will support the student in some capacity. This does include public four-year universities and public two-year community colleges, many private schools as well. The one thing to keep in mind, though, if your child does have an IEP under special ed, that does end by graduation. So a student can't take an IEP to college, but what they can do is talk to the disability office and let them know and bring their documents and show them what accommodations they were provided in high school. And then the college can help support the student the best they can with what they can offer. A 504 is also something that a student can talk to a disability office about. The 504 does stay active after high school. So a student can take a 504 to college or to the workforce and let them know that they have these accommodations, and then their job or their school of choice can try to see what supports they can also offer. If you have any more questions about that, please reach out to your school counselor and we would be happy to help. Students requesting services really should also provide documentation to the Office of Disabilities. Okay. So one major question is, how do I pay for college or post-secondary training? So there's three types of federal student aid. Everybody is going to fill out what's called the free application for federal student aid, also known as FAFSA. The key word here is free. So it is an application that students have to fill out to graduate high school in Illinois. There's three types of aid. There's grants, which is free money. You don't pay a grant back, and it's based on the parent's income. There's also loans, which a student would eventually pay back after a certain amount of time after they graduate from college. And loans can be provided federally, or they can be provided through a private bank. Typically, it's best to, if you can, get more federal loans because the interest rate is typically lower, and there may be more loan forgiveness later. But these are all based on circumstances and a person's W-2 and income. The third type of federal aid is work study. So it's very common to find a job at your college campus or wherever you're doing your post-training of high school. This can work study programs allow for a student to get either reduced tuition or tuition reimbursement, some type of discount. So you may see a lot of students working on campuses, and it is because there is a lot of great benefits to it. So it's really highly recommended to look into the employment office at your school of choice and see if there's some jobs on campus. And all federal financial aid and most state aid is applied for through the financial aid application. Okay. And if you look at the very bottom of the screen, FAFSA this year will become available in December. So in the years past, it was opened up in October. They're redoing a lot this year with FAFSA, trying to make it a better system. But one setback is that it is pushed back to December. So this senior year, we are going to remind every student to apply for their financial aid. We do have a list of we do have a list. So if your child didn't fill it out, we will contact them to remind them. And we also will provide workshops through school and through MCC where parents can make an appointment to fill out their financial aid with some help from staff that are experienced with the process. One thing to just reassure parents is the school does not see your financial information. This is not information that we look at, and it is completely confidential. It is completely through the IRS, similar to taxes. So though it may be a scary thought to feel obligated to fill this form out, just know it is completely separate from our school building and our district. And if you look at this calculator, this is kind of like a version of how financial aid is calculated. So they take like the cost of attendance minus the expected family contribution to figure out what is financial need. And another thing to keep in mind, when you do fill out the financial aid application, just know you are not agreeing to any type of anything. You're simply getting a review from FAFSA of what they can offer you, and then you get to choose as a family what's best for you. Okay. In order to fill out the FAFSA, it's very similar to doing your taxes. So you need your student's social security number, parent's social security number, and the other information listed. Something that students and parents can do right now is create a FSAID, because you only have to create that one time and you can use it every year when you have to reapply for financial aid. But the financial aid form itself, the application, will become available in December. Another reminder is if your family decides that you don't want to fill out the financial aid application, there is an opt-out option. So please reach out to your counselor and we can help you with that. All right, so diverse undocumented students also have a form that they can fill out. So undocumented students can't apply for federal financial aid via FAFSA, but they can still meet the Illinois requirement and gain financial aid through an alternative application in Illinois. And this will meet the FAFSA completion graduation requirement. And just to keep things consistent, this is also submitted in December. And these are students who are citizens, but whose parents are not. If you're not sure if you fall under this category, you can reach out to your counselor. It is completely confidential. And we do have resources that can help. MCC does have a staff member who works with students who are undocumented and parents. So please feel secure and safe talking to us about this, because we definitely want to help all of our students. And even undocumented students can still go to college and get aid for college. Okay. So scholarships. So finding scholarships, there's different kinds. So we really encourage students to apply for scholarships. Typically when you fill out, and typically to be eligible for scholarships, you have to fill out the financial aid application. So that's another reason to do it. There's different types of scholarships. There's institutional, and these ones are through the college. There's local. So we have a ton of McHenry ones and local community ones. And then there's national ones, which are like the bigger money ones that are offered in the fall. And connections, which, if you know somebody, or those are more like networking ones. Scholarships are kind of rolled out throughout the year. The big merit academic ones typically you can start applying for those in the fall. And then also there's competitive one, need-based one based on your income, athletic talent. So we do have scholarships listed in our Schoology page under the class of 2024 post-secondary resources. And there is a Google form, and it shows the different categories of like local, national. So students can just like browse through and see which scholarships apply to them. And we really, really encourage students to take like maybe a weekend or winter break or some time to put effort into filling out applications, because you never know what you could receive. And a lot of times students may avoid filling these out or be intimidated by it because they may feel they don't meet the criteria. But the thing is that money sometimes just sits there because they don't get enough students to apply. So your child could actually get a scholarship for something that they may meet the minimum criteria for. So we really highly encourage students to apply to as many scholarships. Another thing that we'd like to let students know, if you're not sure about a scholarship that you find on your own, you can let us know. We can look at that scholarship application with you to make sure it's not a scam. With scholarships, if they're asking you to pay a fee, no, that's probably a red flag. And same thing with your financial aid application. It is always free. So if you're ever asked to pay money, just know that's probably a scam, and please reach out to us and we will look at it with you. Okay. All right, so kind of a wrap up of first semester. So first semester, us counselors meet with every single student on our caseload one-to-one, and we ensure all graduation requirements are accounted for. So we do credit checks. We also will recommend students who already know places they want to visit to reach out to that school or training institution and meet with their advisors there. We have reps coming through our building all year round, and those are put in Schoology blasts, and you can see lists of when the reps are coming, and you can sign up. And it's always typically in the College Career Center where the counselors are located. Considering four-year colleges, we definitely encourage students to apply by that early action deadline, which is typically November 1st. And this is also typically when large institutional scholarships, so the big money, are available, and we encourage students to meet that deadline. Also, complete at least 3 applications, 3 to 5, to post-secondary institutes, including one match school, which is one where if you fill out our matching for colleges, what the computer filters out based on your needs. And then also a reach school, so like a dream school, and then most likely an Illinois school or somewhere in the Midwest. Also completing your financial aid in December, complete your SchooLinks scholarship search and other national scholarship search. And local scholarships, they become available typically in the spring. Also earning industry certification and using the Warrior resume. Okay, and then second semester is kind of like, all right, let's make sure we did what we can to make sure by graduation there is a plan for afterwards. So complete the FAFSA if you're not done yet, and us counselors will find you because you have to before you graduate, or you can opt out. The scholarships, applications, if you're considering MCC, complete the application. One of the benefits of doing that application earlier is you get to pick classes earlier. So that means you get the better class times. Also, your four-year colleges may have responded back to you. So now you can compare your acceptance letters, look at your financial aid package, and decide what can I afford, what is best for me, what school has the major I'm interested in, or if I'm undecided, at least what school is going to be a good start. Applying for four-year colleges, make your final decision by May 1st, before you graduate, and we want to know where you're going to, and attending 2 or 4-year college, complete the enrollment process. And typically there is a college advisor at the school who will help you with that. And we also can help support you. Okay, so I know this is a lot of information, and this is going to be readily available for you guys as we go through this school year. And so we have Miss Kristen Mueller from MCC who's up next.
Hi, so I wanted to talk a bit about resources and opportunities available through McHenry County College in any capacity. So maybe if you were going to come to take a single class over the summer, or maybe you want to come for a whole 2-year program or anywhere in between. So I am the coordinator of new student enrollment at McHenry County College, and we'll just cover some information here. So as a review, a community college, part of our mission is that all students are accepted. So students can apply to the college at any time, and they will be accepted the next business day. So it's a really fast turnaround. We don't have any admissions requirements. We do look eventually at high school transcripts and things like that for placement purposes, but all students are accepted. We also, for in-district students, which your community is an in-district community, that's the lowest credit hour rate. That would be $116 per credit hour. So you could save a lot of money compared to the higher costs at other universities and other schools. We're also pretty close to home, so you don't have to spend the extra money on another apartment or dorm or things like that. We have all the same support systems that other universities have, like our access and disability services, tutoring centers, lots of clubs and organizations, sports. You can get involved in a lot of ways. So just know that we have full services here, and we help people from taking a single class to a full degree and all sorts of different opportunities. We also are financial aid eligible, so I'll talk a little bit more about financial aid and scholarships again when we get to that later. So just as an overview, again, I mentioned people come in for different reasons. We do have transfer programs. So whether it's a dual credit class your student already took, or maybe a class this summer and then starting at a 4-year institution in the fall, or maybe coming in for a semester or 2 or for a full 2-year degree. Our programs, we have transfer degrees that are designed to transfer, like the Associates of Arts, Science, Engineering, Science, and Fine Arts. So those would cover really any major that your student's trying to go into. Or if your student is undecided, that's fine, that's great. This is a great opportunity to get those general education requirements completed that really all students need to take in their first 2 years of college to help them figure out where they're going as far as where the school they end up at, but also what their interests are and what kind of courses they do want to study. So in addition to that, we also have our Associates of Applied Science degrees. Those AAS degrees are designed to go straight into that career and not designed to transfer. They can in small ways, but really the intention of an AAS degree is to go straight into that industry, as well as certificates, which are shorter versions of those degrees. Those are AAS degrees, where a student would just take classes solely in that particular content area and either have it as like a resume booster and a little bit more skills in an area, or maybe they just want to get that certificate and go straight into that workforce. So those are opportunities, including non-credit, with a lot of different training opportunities or personal development, things like that. So after this, I'm going to talk a little bit about transfer. You can go to the next slide. So I mentioned transferring. That's a big reason why a lot of students will start at McHenry County College. And a lot of those dual credit classes your students have taken already in high school or maybe taking this semester are designed to help them take it off the list. One less class to have to take at their university where they can save money and kind of get ahead. And so if students are coming in then post-graduation from their high school, they can take a single course over the summer. They can take a couple courses at MCC while they're doing their at their main university, Or you can come for just a semester. Maybe you're a December graduate and you would want to come for the spring semester before starting at your full university in the fall. Lots of different opportunities. So consider us as a way to maybe take a smaller class size or something that would just be a little bit less expensive, or maybe your full degree with us. So a lot of different opportunities for transferring. So I'm going to just show you a couple photos here. These are classes like for research and art and things like that. Definitely come check out our facilities and get a sense of what it looks like. This is our library. But I'm going to transfer now to talking about different areas of study. So we like to cluster our programs into career areas. So when I speak with a student, I like to start off with, what are your goals? What are your intentions? What do you hope to do? And that can help guide me toward talking about the programs that meet their needs, is whether that's a transfer program or whether it is a work career-focused program. So these are 6 of the 12 different categories that you can find on our website. You would click on one and say a student wants to do something in healthcare. You can click on healthcare and see all the programs related to healthcare, from nursing, OTA, PTA, transfer degrees, and so on. So this is a nice way to browse that. And here's a few other career cluster areas. So nice way to check that out. And I know that the schools are aligned with career clusters as well. And so definitely bring that into the conversation. It's not only where do you want to go to college, but what are you intending to do and how can that shape your time and your studies, not only in college or any other post-secondary decision. So we do have programs that are designed to go straight to the career. Here's some photos of opportunities that were shown earlier, like welding and automotive, all sorts of things like baking and pastry, nursing. This is our horticulture and entrepreneurial agriculture program. So a lot of different opportunities. I mentioned the cost for in-district students is $116 per credit hour. So on average, a full-time student would be paying around $2,000 in a semester. So usually taking 2 semesters, a fall and a spring, that's $4,000 to $5,000 in a year, which is far less than most other universities. And we're also financial aid eligible. So when the students apply for the FAFSA, they may be able to fully fund their college education with us for free. On top of that, we do have scholarships for our students. Our college really wants to give scholarships to everybody who applies to them. So I encourage everybody to apply for a scholarship if you're coming to MCC. Do our scholarships. We do have scholarships open for students who are starting in the spring semester, so in January, as well as scholarships for students who are starting in the fall semester. So you'll be hearing about that. But if you are an early graduate, the spring scholarship actually opens September 1st. So that's coming up shortly. So keep that in mind if you are an early graduate, and also know that payment plans are available and all other assistance as well. So don't forget about the scholarships. So it's easy to get started at McHenry County College. On our website, there's an application. You can use the code McHenry to get a free application from us. Reach out if you forget that or if you need any assistance with it. Your next steps after your application is to watch your email and read those next steps. We'll also mail a whole welcome packet for you, so you'll get a lot of details about what to do next. But I really encourage students to come out and visit the college, take a walk around. We have a lot of upcoming events. This is our contact information. I know you guys were talking about SchooLinks. We do have some events coming up that are listed on your SchooLinks account. Like there's an undecided workshop next week, August 31st, virtually at 6 p.m. on Zoom. So you can sign up for that. And if you're kind of undecided, this is a great way to learn about how we support students who are undecided. There's also a FAFSA and scholarship information session, which is virtual on September 7th. So you can sign up for that. And watch for our college fair coming up on October 5th. Come out and visit all the colleges. Thank you.
All right, I'm jumping back in here, Kristen. Ms. Spaccigalupo, Ms. Sadler, I'm going to pull you back on screen in just a moment, so heads up to you. At this point, to our live viewers, you can submit questions in that comment box right there in YouTube. If you do have a question or you'd like us to kind of circle back to something, we'll pause for a moment here, allow you to enter any questions that you may have there. As we tell students, if you have a question about something, odds are another viewer is probably curious about the same thing. As we give a moment for our live viewers, to maybe formulate some thoughts and drop a question in there. Kristen, what is what is something that like an underrated part of being a student at MCC?
I think something that's really underrated is something that people don't often think about is that we have really strong connections with the industries in our community. They want our students to work, so they have great internships, apprenticeships, lots of ways to get real hands-on experience, and not only our career-specific programs, but also our transfer programs as well. So you can get some really fabulous networking connections and like experience exploring or trying the thing you really are thinking you want to do just here locally, and maybe get hired here locally as well. So that's a nice opportunity.
Excellent. Very incredibly well stated. MCC really is our, and I say this not just because I have an MCC representative in this presentation, but MCC is by far our strongest local educational partner. On any given year, the last couple of graduating classes, 45 to 50% of McHenry High School students take their next step at MCC, whether it be in a transfer program or in a shorter term workforce training program. That's how much we value our partnership, and that is the value of the programming that MCC offers. All right, to my co-presenters, I am not seeing any questions come in on YouTube, so I think we will wrap things up and say our goodbyes. Again, parents, guardians, please know that you are supported in this process just like your students are. You've got a great team here. Ms. Bacigalupo, Sadler, and myself will certainly help your students with their current academic progress, their post-secondary actions and needs, as well as those day-to-day things that pop up, as well as our greater team, including our social workers, psychologists, and deans as well. On behalf of my colleagues at McHenry High School, as well as my colleagues at McHenry County College, thank you for tuning in, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the recording. And just know that we are helping your students look forward to their next steps and doing whatever we can to help and support you along the way. Take care.